Hello! In today's video, Alec is going to walk you through the process of deploying the OpenWiFi wireless controller on the rXg and adding an AP for end-to-end OpenWiFi setup.
To deploy the OpenWiFi wireless controller on the rXg, we have a few prerequisites. I have a fresh install here. I'm going to go to System and Certificates, and I'm going to create a new certificate authority by clicking Create. I'm going to name it the same as the FQDN. Fill in your country code, your state, and your locality, and then check your email address to make sure it's there and click Create. And now we have a CA. And we'll go over to Services and Virtualization. And next to Virtualization Hosts, we'll click Create New. And here we'll just accept the defaults and click Create. This will allow us to deploy virtual machines. Next, we're going to go back to System and Backup. And we'll scroll down to template number 6. This will download the OpenWiFi controller image. So we click Test, and if we get a success, then we will click Apply, and that will begin downloading the image. If you don't see the example templates, maybe you've created a template or imported the template from somewhere else, you can simply click the Show Examples button, and that will show all of the example templates and will allow you to edit or deploy the one you're looking for. I'm going to open another tab here and go to Services and Virtualization. Next to the virtualization host, you can click Disk Images and you can watch that download. But while that's happening, we're going to go back into Backup System and Backup, and we're going to go to template number 7 and click Edit. So within here, the main thing to change is going to be the mapped switches. This determines which interface will be mapped to the controller. Physical interface mapped to a virtual interface. I don't need the other two interfaces, so I'm going to just delete those. And my LAN interface is IGB0, so I'm going to leave that as is. If your LAN interface is different, you will need to change that. So here's the IP address that the controller is going to get, along with the gateway and the name server. I'm going to keep default. If you want your controller to be on a different IP address, you can change that here. And then we need to add an SSH key pair in case we want to SSH into it. So we'll go over to System and Admins. And I will copy the name of my SSH key and paste that into that string. And then we will click Update. And then we'll go back to Services and Virtualization and check on that disk image. It's still pending, so we will wait for that disk image to be done downloading before proceeding. And now that that image exists, in your templates list, you can click Test. If you get a success on example number 7, you can click Apply. And we can close this tab. And then within virtualization, you can see the virtual machine is currently being created. So we'll wait for this creating to change to stopped. And now that it's stopped, we're going to jump over to Network and Wireless. We're going to create a new WLAN controller here. We'll call this OpenWiFi. The type will be OpenWiFi. The host will be the IP address you gave it in the template earlier. We're going to set a password, which the rXg will automatically change the default to this password. We're going to enable telemetry. And we're going to select the certificate authority that we created earlier from this drop-down box. And we'll click Create. We'll jump back over to Virtualization under Services, and we will start under Commands and Start on this virtual machine. And I'm going to go ahead and enable Auto Start as well. And this usually takes about 1 minute for the virtual machine to start up for the first time. Once you see the CPU percentage normalize, we can go back to Network and Wireless, and you'll see that the OpenWiFi controller is now showing online. The next thing we want to do is scan for our access points. So I'm going to click the Import button, and in the access point scan box, I'm going to type in the CIDR network that my access point or access points are on. You can also use an IP address, or you can use an actual CIDR notation, a /32. So any of these will work, and you can use multiples in this box if you have multiple networks to scan. But we will just keep it at the /24 CIDR for this, and I'll click Import, and we'll wait while the network is scanned for access points. And you can see that it found one access point at 5.10. And we can double check. We can go down to access points. You can see there's an access point now in this scaffold. And we can click on the Show button. And if we scroll down, you can see there is a certificate request successfully on the AP. So I'll close this. And there's an Approve button by the access point. So just click Approve. And if we look again in the Show, we can see that it now has a client certificate, which means the access point has been configured to connect to the controller. And now we can wait for that access point to be connected. This usually takes anywhere between 30 seconds and 5 minutes, but it's best just to wait for it for about 2 or 3 minutes. And once you have information for the access point, you can go to the controller and click Import again, and just click the Import button. Then you can click the Sync Not Enabled button and click Generate Diff. And then we'll click Enable Configuration. And now our configuration is in sync. You'll see that we have the default wireless LAN OpenWiFi, and you are now free to create SSIDs, select the access point zone, and we will create one here, and you'll see the config sync turn yellow, and then once the synchronization is done, it should turn green. And now your OpenWiFi controller is complete.
Thank you, Alec. We're very excited about all the possibilities opening up with our integration with OpenWiFi. If you are too, leave a comment down below or start a conversation on our subreddit. And make sure to follow us here and all the socials for updates on all things RGNets and RXG.